It's not absolutely easy for me to talk about of my work. When I think about of this work, I think about of something like this. Everybody remember what Vitruvio says, you know? Everybody know what is possible to do in our field, what is possible to do in our skill, what is possible to be architect, in which way is possible to be architect. Well, when I think about something like this, you know, I think about we are to be humanistic. The humanistic approach is for me absolutely crucial. Doesn't matter if I'm an architect. It's not so bad, you know. Can you imagine to be a son of bitch? It's probably, anyway, it's better to be architect. Well, when we're talking about of that, we're talking about of something so complicated. The all our life, it's a contamination, it's a particularly combination of different qualities of life. It's a contamination with different culture. To be architect, it means you have to know what happens in a two-dimension. When you are designer, you have to work with a spatial scale. When you change again the scale, you become architect, you design buildings, or you design small houses, or you design interior. Sometimes you jump out and you become graphic designer. Well, when I'm talking about of that, I think this is the secret to be in a realistic way, in a modern way, and not to be absolutely Anglo-Saxon in that. The new culture happened something so specialized. I don't like the idea. I like the idea to be first Italian, second European, and third. I like the idea, absolutely, to live inside in this spatial intellectual skill. If you don't know architecture, for me it doesn't matter, but if you don't know Ulisse, or if you don't know, Mozart, if you don't know Glenn Gould, if you don't talk about of some movies, if you don't know Sergio Leone, if you don't know Giorgio Armani, not because it's a good designer, but because he invented a new style, you are not interesting for me. You are not a good architect. Well, now I start, and I show to you what happened in a real life. When we design something, one chair, we start with one simple idea, to be light, and the second one to use a completely new idea of material. Molding fiberglass, it's easy. Try to mold carbonium fiber. It's like a science fiction idea. Anyway, we try. We start with modeling. We start before to design. We start to study the technologies. We start to make models, 1/1 scale. We start to design the torsion, modification. And after that, we start to design the chair. This one, again, you have to put inside together many different things. When we discuss about with the engineers, you discuss about of torsions. You have to know in which way is possible to control. And the whole design is not style. The shape of the chair, for example, it was designed by the torsions. It was designed for the optimization for the material when we use. In this way, it was, and it is, carbonium fiber. We start, we continue, we develop, we change, we design, we work and work and work and work, and we continuously think about of that like in a Renaissance time. We're doing models. We continue to work in a 1/1 scale with a lot of electronics around, because the torsion, the modification, some disapplication of the material, it was controlled by programs, but the shape, the resistance, the quality, it was controlled by one model. And after that we start to do. And now, that's it. When we're talking about of that, you know, you have to put inside many different issues. Engineering things, technological issues, costs. Can you imagine one chair like that? It's unbelievable light. We design one chair and we produce a chair nearby, the weight of the chair is nearby 2 kilos. Nearby because sometimes we mold the chair 1 kilo and 98 grams, sometimes we mold the chair 2 kilos and some grams. It's a humidity and the changement for the temperature, is modeling a little bit the weight, but we fix the weight, 2 kilos. 2 kilos because we optimize the quality of the material. If you think the body and the legs, the maximum span and the maximum thickness, it's 2 millimeters, sometimes 1 millimeter and 5 decimal part. Well, you have to be not only architect, you are not to be only designer, you are not to be only a little bit visionary. You have to put inside a lot of elements. You have to take care for the cost, you have to take care for the investment, you have to take care for the quality for the production, and you have to take care, in the end, last, you have to take care for the style. Another project, I am art director since nearby 30 years of Boffi. I design for Boffi everything. I design shops, I design architecture for them, I design the factory, I design the old kitchens. I design the communication, I design, the old details. To be architect, and again, to be art director, it means you have to be completely open-minded. It will. A special life, completely open. We start to redesign a new kitchen. And when we start to discuss about the kitchen, the first thoughts it was, is possible design something resistant, absolutely professionally resistant for water, humidity, and the other things like that? And voila. This is the process. I start to design before the proportion. I start to design, I fix on the paper something, and after that we start again, and we remodeling. First model. Second model. After that, we fix more or less the proportion, but the proportion it was not fixed by myself. I didn't design something because I love proportion. Of course I love proportion, but the whole proportion inside, it was designed and fixed by the maximization and the minimization for the material. We didn't throw away 1 centimeter of material. We used the maximum issues of the material. That one, it was the first vision inside the project. And after that, we retransform something in this. I go quickly, again, models, treatment. Last, again, the style, jump inside. And the kitchen is this. Or she, I don't know. With the all details, with the all quality, with the all production, with the final phase. Now I change the scale. We designed a flagship store in Istanbul for the Benetton Group. It's 8 floors. The project we spent with the engineers, with the technicians, with the management, we spent 2 years for design everything. We spent 2 years for detailing everything. And after that, I showed to you the whole process. We continue to design and redesign and design and redesign the all different thoughts. And last but not least, in the end of the process, we produce everything in more or less 2 years, and we prepare one building complete with the furniture inside, with the light, with the people. It was completed in 10 months. I don't like to talk about the efficiency of the building. I don't like to talk about the intelligent issues inside. The whole building is more or less active building. We don't use energy. We produce energy. But for do that, it means in our mind to be first a very good engineer, and second, we try to minimize the impact and we try to do something absolutely intelligent. Not because I like to be intelligent, but because it's impossible in 2015 to be stupid. Okay, some example. Can you imagine we design one building, eight floor plus 3 floors underneath in a technological way, and we design the whole interior, we design the light, we design the furniture, we study everything to be absolutely coherent, you know. In another scale, we design outside the building, we design the skin, we design the proportion, we design the spaces, and we design the whole things inside. I like to be graphic designer because sometimes I like to jump out of the 3-dimensional things, and I like to design something in a monodimensional or bidimensional. Well, that is the result. Concept. When we thinking to do one new project, before we fix in our mind the code, when we fix the code is not one beautiful building to do something, to copy, to retransform in another one. The code in a project, it's something completely outstanding. Our project in Monaco, it was connected with spatial floors. In our mind, it was the discussion in a team. We have to do something with very, very thin floors without any pillars in the middle, with a new idea for the slabs and for these special suspended wings. And the discussion it was, is possible to design something like a pentagram. It's possible to think about the first idea it was, we design a building like a pentagram. A pentagram because we put inside a note, and the note is some other technically part inside in a building, technically part inside in this architecture. Of course, I like to design a completely transparent building, totally completely transparent, and something inside in a team. They choose the image with the bottle and the different transparent floor glass. Well, when you start to design one building like that, you have to combine together the site. You have to think what happened around. It's not enough to design a building because one building is completely connected with the surrounding. It's not in the middle of the desert. This one is in Monaco. Monaco is one of the cities with the high density, the mostly high density in the world. And when you use 1 square centimeter, you have to use the square centimeter in a perfectly way. Well, and we start to study the whole things. We start to study the logistic before. We start to study in which way it was possible to maximize the surfaces and in which way it was possible to be architect. I'm not investor, I'm not a money maker. I design buildings. Well, after many months, we start to design and we start to first fix our rules, aesthetically rules and technically rules. And we put the building inside. We start to design, for example, in electronic, what happened inside in the site. Did you see what happened now? The building now is in construction. It's completely without one pillar inside. The whole structure is like a suspended structure. And we use, like the vertical forest in Milano, we use the suspended garden to balance the building. Otherwise, without the gardens, the building is absolutely not stable. Can you imagine the discussion with the engineers? Can you imagine our fields? Aesthetically and intellectually speaking, when we start to discuss with them, I like the slabs maximum 15 centimeter without anything. I don't like to see beams. I don't like to discuss about of stupid pillars in the middle. I don't like to think about of that. It's possible to suspend. It's possible to balance the weight. It's possible to be stable. And after many, many discussions, we found a result. Now I go quickly because otherwise I finish my time. I have only more or less 1 hour and I like to be quick. It's what happened. I don't like to work like in, sometimes the architects, they use the special idea to be architect. We think to be like a rock and roll star. When we're working inside a project like that, you have to be a worker. You have to work and study and work and study, discuss and study and work again. In the end, it's not like a idea in a shower in the morning. It's a long day-by-day process. And after that, you take a big responsibility because somebody have to build, somebody have to live around, somebody have to live inside. For that reason, I like to show to you one level of complexity like that. And this one is a building. Okay. Another scale. 1 year ago, we did an exhibition in Palazzo Reale for one painter Milanese, Bernardino Luini. This guy, it was famous in Milano, nearby 500 years ago. It was quite good. It was inside in a Renaissance movement in Milano, and he painted frescoes and paintings. Nearby, he painted during his life more than 250 different things. For the first time in his life, more or less, the old paintings, they was back in Milano. Because now they are spread all around the world. They are in many different museums in the world. They are in a private collection in the world. Some of them, they are more or less impossible to be in touch because if you own one Bernardino Luini, it's quite impossible to use in a public way. Well, for the first time, Bernardino Luini, it was back in Milano. And the idea it was, I don't like to show Bernardino Luini like a classical Renaissance painter. I like to show Bernardino Luini like a beautiful, fantastic, modern artist. I like to use the same code like in a Museum of Modern Art in New York. I don't like to see paintings and paintings and paintings on the wall. I like to use spaces around of him. I like to follow one simple idea. Each of these paintings, it's one of the most important paintings. It's not one painting in the middle of 100 paintings. And we did. When you follow one process like that, you have to start to think in which way is possible to combine together the combination of Palazzo Reale, it was a house in the end, with one exhibition. I don't like to use the walls. I don't like to hanging on the wall the normal painting. And the idea it was we detach our walls to the original one. And we start to study. We start to study the logistics. We start to study in which way it was possible to use the spaces. And we start to study one by one the position for the different paintings. Each room, it was designed properly. Nobody was there with a drill and we hanging on the wall something. We study one by one in a proper way. After that, we start to design the way inside in the labyrinth. And after that, we start to design an electronic, room by room. Again, it's a strange combination to be architect, to be exhibitor, to be graphic, and to be in the same time engineer. We continue to go around. We produce one model. Can you imagine one museum? The scale of this model is 150. We put the whole model inside in a room because it was not, no table for that. We designed one model huge, only for control very well what happened inside in each room. And after that, we start to design the lamps. I'm a designer for, unfortunately for them, I'm a designer for floss. And I use a strongly and very dirty trick. I asked Piero Gandini, Piero, can you help me? I'd like to use your light inside in a beautiful exhibition in Milano, but I need your help. I like to retransform some light in a specialized light for the painting. And Piero, of course, it was so generous, and he's jumping inside like a mouse in a trap. We designed everything. We designed the LED, we designed the lenses, we designed the body for the lamps. In the end, the investment for him, it was a disaster, but it was good for the painting. We studied before what happened when you put the light in the correct way, or what happened if you don't use the correct angle for that, you know. We try in electronic. We control everything, shadow, light, reflection, and that is the result. Another level, installations, I like. Installation is one of the most faster idea to be architect. You do something, 5 days later, somebody dismantle. If you're doing a mistake, nobody remember, you know. In 5 days, it's easy. You do a horrible mistake, 5 days later, nobody know, nobody remember. We start to design, for example, for we're working again for Nespresso, and we prepare for them the special exhibition. That one is one exhibition in Milano. The question it was, is possible to respect the code of Nespresso? The code of Nespresso is the cap. We retransform the cap of Nespresso in a special LED cap. We put inside the sunlight and we retransform thousands of these caps in a huge screen. And that is the result. This is the whole process. I like to show to you in which way it's possible to design something like that. You fix in your mind with a discussion with a team, and after that you start to design and to sketch and to do something like a complex project. Can you imagine when we design something like this? We design the images, we design the electronics, we design the music, because everything it was synchronized around of this spatial effect. That, I think, it's a universal, or if you like, it's a humanistic approach in a project. I like this category to be in the middle, you know. You have to be good in very different things, in very different thoughts. It's too much easy to design one space. Can you imagine there, where I'm working with DJs? It was fantastic. You know, we worked together with electronic engineers for control the whole images, the synchronization, the qualities for the light, the movement inside, the dynamic. And last but not least, we designed the graphic.